The solar had simply begun its ascent over the alien horizon, painting the sky in sunglasses of crimson and orange, whilst a group of people discovered themselves gathered at the base of a big, otherworldly tree. They had been not there via risk. They had been summoned to this foreign planet for a completely precise reason. The tree towered above them, its branches stretching out like the tentacles of a few large, benevolent octopus, supporting a series of pod-like systems that housed the young aliens who had invited them here. The people, a motley team of educators from Earth, have been tasked with teaching the curious younger minds about their domestic planet's lifestyle. They added with them tales of humanity's past, traditions that had been passed down through generations, and customs that were as overseas to the aliens as their eight-legged tree turned into to the humans. As they waited for the students to emerge from their pods, they might sense the load of their duty pressing down upon them. The humans exchanged worried glances and fidgeted with their property. One of them, a middle-aged female named Sarah, adjusted her glasses and smoothed out her wrinkled shirt. She cleared her throat and began to speak. Who should we begin with? She requested, her voice barely above a whisper. Should we simply, take it so as? The different humans nodded in agreement, but nobody moved. They had been all waiting for a few type of signal from the alien kids, who were now rising from their pods, their 8 legs clicking towards the tree bark. The youngest ones, who regarded no older than 5 or 6 Earth years, seemed particularly inquisitive about the humans' appearance. They pointed at their personal heads, chests, and hands, certainly curious about what made the humans so specific from them. A few of the older extraterrestrial beings, perhaps 10 or 11 Earth years vintage, approached the group of humans extra cautiously. They studied the human beings with interest, their massive, almond-fashioned eyes taking in every element. One of them, a boy with vivid blue pores and skin and a mischievous grin, piped up, What is the first issue you need to train us about Earth? The humans exchanged glances again. Sarah hesitated for a second earlier than talking. Let's have a look at. How about we begin with something easy? Like our names, she recommended, providing an anxious smile. The blue-skinned boy nodded enthusiastically, his many eyes glinting with interest. The people began to introduce themselves, one by one, because the alien kids listened carefully. They instructed tales approximately their houses, their families, and their favorite things to do on their planet. The extraterrestrial beings appeared mainly inquisitive about the concept of pets, asking questions about cats, puppies, and even goldfish. They giggled on the tale of Sarah's youth cat, who would usually sneak into the neighbor's garden to steal their tomatoes. As the morning stepped forward, the humans and the aliens grew extra snug with every other. They performed video games, shared meals, and even attempted to communicate the use of a makeshift translation device. Despite the occasional false impression, they observed themselves guffawing and mastering from each other. It became a definitely precise and unforgettable enjoy for everyone worried. One of the older aliens, a female with emerald inexperienced pores and skin and long, flowing hair, approached Sarah as they were sitting beneath the shade of a specially huge pod. Sarah, as she began, what's the maximum thrilling thing approximately Earth's tradition? Something that we won't apprehend proper away. Sarah smiled warmly at the female and idea, for a second earlier than responding. I suppose one of the maximum exciting things is how different people from Earth may be, even though all of us come from the equal planet. You see, on Earth, there are loads of various international locations, every with its own precise customs and traditions. Some humans communicate distinctive languages, eat special ingredients, or even rejoice exceptional holidays. The woman nodded thoughtfully, her many eyes taking in the data. "And what about your property, Sarah?" And she asked, curiosity filling her voice. "Oh, what is it like there?" Sarah smiled once more, feeling a feel of delight and belonging wash over her. Well, she started out. I live in a small town known as River's Edge. It's on the financial institution of a river, and there are masses of timber and parks close by. My family and I like to go for walks inside the park, have picnics by the river, and every now and then we will even cross fishing." The female listened carefully, her expression packed with surprise. "And what approximately your pets?" she asked, her eyes shining with exhilaration. "Do you have got any cats or dogs like we do?" Sarah laughed, remembering the mischievous antics of her adolescence cat. "Oh, sure," as she said, "I grew up with a cat named Tigger. He became a naughty little factor, always moving into hassle, but we cherished him besides." The lady nodded, a knowing smile gambling on the corners of her mouth. "I think I understand," she said softly. "Pets are like circle of relatives, too." As the two of them persevered to chat, the opposite humans and aliens accumulated around, drawn in by means of the tale of Sarah and her lifestyles on Earth. It became a simple moment, yet it felt profound. In sharing their memories and gaining knowledge of about each different, they had been constructing bridges throughout the vast chasm of area and time. Perhaps, sooner or later, those conversations would result in something even more, proper understanding and friendship among two very extraordinary species. The emerald-skinned female listened intently as Sarah defined the various vacations they celebrated, the different foods they ate, and the customs that varied from region to region. She became inquisitive about the concept of a world in which human beings may be so special, but still find approaches to connect and percentage their lives. "It need to be exciting," she stated, her voice full of wonder, "to grow up in a world in which there are so many various things to find out." Sarah nodded in settlement. "It can be overwhelming at instances," she admitted, "but it also makes lifestyles thrilling. You never recognize what you may locate around the nook." They each laughed, sharing a moment of connection that transcended the bounds of their species. As the morning wore on, the human beings and the extraterrestrial beings persisted to interact in verbal exchange and play games together. There have been moments of bewilderment and false impression, of path, but they always controlled to discover a manner to snort it off and maintain shifting ahead. They were constructing something unique right here, something that would ultimate past this quick stumble upon inside the alien garden. As Sarah sat there under the shade of the pod, watching the kids of Earth and the youngsters of the celebrities guffawing and playing together, she felt a sense of desire and belonging wash over her. Perhaps, just perhaps, this became the beginning of something virtually tremendous. Something that might alternate the route of records for both of their worlds. The emerald-skinned female appeared to sense it too. She glanced over at Sarah, a wistful expression on her face, as though she was looking to consider what it must be like to grow up on an international, where everyone spoke the identical language and shared the identical customs. "Your global sounds outstanding," as she stated, her voice tinged with envy. "I want I should go to at some point." Sarah smiled reassuringly. "You by no means recognize," she replied. "With the way matters are going, interstellar journey can also become a truth earlier than we think. Who is aware of? Maybe one day, we're going to all be capable of visit every different planets and examine even extra approximately each other." The lady nodded, her eyes shining with wish. As the hours handed, the solar started to dip beneath the horizon, portray the sky with a symphony of reds and oranges. The people and the aliens alike accrued around a massive bonfire, roasting marshmallows and telling tales under the celebs. Sarah located herself drawn right into a communication with a blue-skinned boy named Yura, who became inquisitive about the manner humans constructed cities and invented machines. He requested her questions on skyscrapers and automobiles, his eyes wide with wonder. In flip, Sarah asked him about the wonderful ships that the aliens traveled in, and the wonders in their home worlds. They exchanged tales and laughter, their differences fading into the history as they observed common ground of their shared curiosity and love of exploration. As the night wore on, Sarah felt an experience of contentment wash over her. She had in no way expected to feel so related to these beings from some other planet, but right here she became, guffawing and sharing secrets with them as though they have been old buddies. Perhaps, in the end, it did not matter wherein you came from or what you gave the impression of. What mattered maximum was the connections you made and the bonds you shared with others. And so, as they sat round the hearth, watching the embers dance inside the darkness, Sarah knew that something simply special was going on. Something that would last a ways past this unmarried night. Something that could trade the route of each human and alien records for all time. As the flames crackled and popped, the emerald-skinned lady leaned in toward Sarah, her eyes gleaming with exhilaration. I cannot accept as true what that is clearly occurring, she whispered, her voice slightly audible over the sounds of the night time. I in no way concept I'd have the hazard to see every other global, let alone discover it with you. Sarah smiled warmly, feeling an experience of camaraderie developing among them. Yura, the blue-skinned boy who had been so fascinated by human towns and machines, overheard their communique and perked up. His eyes darted back and forth among Sarah and the emerald-skinned lady, his curiosity getting the better of him. What are you speaking approximately? He asked innocently, his voice tinged with curiosity. Sarah glanced on the historic symbol carved into the rock, now etched into her reminiscence. She took a deep breath, preparing to percentage the secret they'd observed. Well, Yura, she started out, you see, in advance these days, we determined this extraordinary symbol carved into a rock close by. She gestured vaguely within the path of the now remote landmark. We did not assume a whole lot of it at the start, but as we investigated further, we determined that it became virtually an historical map made to an extended misplaced interstellar portal. The boy's eyes widened in disbelief, and his mouth hung open for numerous moments earlier than he located his voice. You're extreme, so he requested, his voice barely above a whisper. An interstellar portal? Like, one which can take us to other stars. Sarah nodded, a smile gambling on the corners of her mouth. Yes, Yura. One which can take us to other stars. The boy's face lit up with pleasure, and he threw his hands around Sarah, squeezing her tightly. That's notable, he exclaimed, his voice trembling with emotion. I've usually dreamed of seeing another world. Of exploring the infinite stars that fill the sky. Sarah smiled warmly, feeling a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment welling up interior her. Well, Yura, she stated, her voice consistent and confident, tonight, you are in for the journey of a lifetime. Together, the three of them stood, their faces set with dedication and experience of motive. The ancient portal, its front hidden many of the trees, waited patiently for his or her arrival. And as they started to make their manner via the darkness, Sarah knew that they had been approximately to embark on a journey that would change their lives, and their worlds, all the time. The air grew thick with anticipation and pleasure as they drew toward the sparkling circle of light that marked the entrance to the portal. The emerald-skinned woman, her call forgotten within the face of this shared experience, reached out and grasped Sarah's hand. Their pores and skin felt heat and easy towards every other's, a testament to the bond that were shaped among them over the path of this extraordinary night. Yura, meanwhile, seemed on in awe, his eyes darting to and fro between Sarah and the portal, as though he could not quite believe that this became all actual. Finally, he found his voice. Are you positive that is safe? He requested tentatively. What if something is going wrong? Sarah glanced over at him, her expression critical. Nothing's assured in existence, Yura, she spoke back. But I trust in us. I agree within our friendship, and I trust in our potential to face something demanding situations come our manner. Together, we will do that. She squeezed his hand reassuringly, and Yura may want to experience the power and backbone coursing via her words. With a deep breath, they stepped through the portal together, leaving behind everything they'd ever recognized for the promise of adventure and discovery ready on the alternative side. As they emerged into the cool night air of an extraordinary new international, the three pals stood shoulder to shoulder, their faces lifted closer to the stars, prepared to embrace the countless possibilities that lay before them. The sky above them was a significant, countless expanse, full of stars so brilliant and close that it changed into as though they could attain up and contact them. The air smelled specific here, rich with the sense of alien vegetation and fauna, and the landscape stretched out earlier than them in a tapestry of colors and shapes, not like something they'd ever visible before. Yura gasped, taking it all in as he regarded around, his eyes extensive with wonder. The emerald-skinned female let move of Sarah's hand, her fingers lingering for a second earlier than she grew to become to stand them, a mischievous glint in her eyes. Well, kids, she stated, her voice tinged with pleasure, where to first? Sarah glanced at Yura, who regarded simply as uncertain as she felt. I don't know, she admitted, her coronary heart racing with anticipation and worry. Where will we even start? Yura shook his head, nevertheless looking to procedure the whole lot that had befell. I suggest, he stated, his voice quivering with pleasure, we could explore this world, discover what forms of creatures live right here, find out if there are other portals like this one. His voice trailed off, and he checked out Sarah with a bit of luck. The emerald-skinned woman grinned. Or, as she said, we ought to go to my homeworld. I can take you there, display you in which I come from. It's a beautiful vicinity, full of magic and thriller. She gestured vaguely on the horizon, her eyes shining with the promise of adventure. Sarah taken into consideration this for a moment, her heart racing with interest. That sounds exquisite, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But what about Yura? He's in no way even been off Earth before. Shouldn't we allow him select? Yura seemed torn, his gaze darting between Sarah and the emerald-skinned female. I do not know, he stammered. It's just a lot to absorb. He glanced nervously at the portal behind them, as if he should already sense the acquainted comforts of domestic tugging at him. Sarah positioned a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Hey, it is okay, she said gently. We do not need to decide right now. We can take the time to discover this global, and spot wherein our hearts lead us. She turned to the lady again. That sounds high quality, absolutely. Showing us wherein you are from, I'd love to look that.